Senator Sanders, do you think it's fair to call Donald Trump a racist?
This is what I think. I think that the American people are never going to elect a president who insults Mexicans, who insults Muslims, who insults women, who insults African Americans. And let us not forget that several years ago, Trump was in the middle of the so-called birther movement, trying to delegitimize the President of the United States of America. You know, I find it very interesting, Karen. My dad was born in Poland. I know a little bit about the immigrant experience. Nobody has ever asked me for my birth certificate. Maybe it has something to do with the color of my skin. Very pleased that I think in the last national poll that I saw, we were running 18 points ahead of Donald Trump.
Can you promise us tonight that you won't deport children?
Let me just say this. I don't think that the Secretary fully answered your question. And I think the proof may be in the pudding. Honduras, in that region of the world, may be the most violent region in our hemisphere. Gang lords, vicious people, torturing people, doing horrible things to families. Children fled that part of the world to try, maybe, to meet up with their family members in this country, taking a route that was horrific, trying to start a new life. Secretary Clinton did not support those children coming into this country. I did. Now, I happen to agree with President Obama on many, many issues. I think he's done a great job as President of the United States. He is wrong on this issue of deportation. I disagree with him on that. So to answer your question, no, I will not deport children from the United States of America.
And can you promise not to deport immigrants who don't have a criminal record?
I can make that promise.
Okay.
What the Secretary is doing tonight, and has done very often, is take large pieces of legislation and take pieces out of it. No, I did not oppose the bailout or the support of the automobile industry. No, I do not support vigilantes, and that is a horrific statement, an unfair statement to make. I will stand in terms of my political career, fighting for workers, fighting for the poorest people in this country. Madam Secretary, I will match my record against yours any day of the week.
Well, let's do that. Let's talk about
it. So that everybody knows the bill that Secretary Clinton is talking about. That was the bailout of the recklessness, irresponsibility, and illegal behavior of Wall Street. It was the Wall Street bailout.
You have demanded that Secretary Clinton release the transcripts of her paid Wall Street speeches. Why is this important? Do you have reason to believe that she says one thing in private and another in public?
Well, what I have said is that when you get, I believe it is $225,000 for giving a speech, and she gave several speeches to Goldman Sachs, one of the Wall Street financial institutions whose greed and illegal behavior helped destroy our economy a number of years ago. When you get paid $225,000, that means that that speech must have been an extraordinarily wonderful speech.
So does this mean that you would not think she would have to disclose?
I would think that a speech so great that you got paid so much money for, you would like to share it with the American people. So I think she should release the transcript.
Senator, so you're saying the
Secretary said, well, she will do it if other people do it. I will do it. I didn't give any speeches. There is no transcript.
But my question was, do you think she's saying one thing in these speeches and another in public?
that is exactly what releasing the transcripts will tell us. This I do know. This I do know. There is a reason why Wall Street has provided $15 million just in the last reporting period to the Secretary's super PAC. Now, the Secretary says it doesn't influence her. Well, that's what every politician says who gets money from special interest. The question that the American people have to determine, you could say that Wall Street is greedy, they're fraudulent, but they're not dumb.
Thank you, Senator.
Why are they making those kind of large contributions? Clearly, the Secretary's words to Wall Street has really intimidated them. And that is why they have given her $15 million in campaign contributions.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
What I believe is, in fact, that we have a corrupt campaign finance system. And it's not just Wall Street. It's the drug companies who receive millions of dollars from the fossil fuel industry. We've got to overturn Citizens United. There is nobody in the United States Congress who has taken on the Koch brothers who want to destroy Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and virtually every federal program passed since the 1930s more than Bernie Sanders. And I am proud that the gentleman who is head of Goldman Sachs. Now, he didn't give me $225,000 for speaking fees. He said I was dangerous, and he is right. I am dangerous for Wall Street.
Next question. I'm going to continue with the issue of trust. Secretary Clinton, on the night of the attacks in Benghazi, you sent an email to your daughter, Chelsea, saying that Al-Qaeda-like group was responsible for the killing of the Americans. Some of the families claim that you lied to them. Here's Pat Smith, the Mother Information Officer, Shan Smith. Let's listen.
Hillary and Obama and Panetta and Biden and all of Susan Rice all told me it was a video when they knew it was not the video. And they said that they would call me and let me know what the outcome was.
Secretary Clinton, did you lie to them?
This fog of war, this was complicated. The most effective, comprehensive reports and studies demonstrate that.
What the families are saying is that you told your daughter Chelsea one thing and a different thing to them.
Imagine the grief that she has for losing her son, but she's wrong. She's absolutely wrong. I and everybody learned a lot, and the intelligence kept improving, and we learned enough to say what we think happened at Benghazi.
You have 30 seconds, Senator.
Well, I'm not going to comment on the Benghazi tragedy, but I will say this. A series of articles in the New York Times talked about Secretary Clinton's role in urging the administration to go forward with regime change, getting rid of Gaddafi in Libya. Gaddafi was a brutal dictator, there's no question. But one of the differences between the Secretary and I is I'm not quite so aggressive with regard to regime change. I voted against the war in Iraq because I had a fear of what would happen the day after. Secretary Clinton talks about Henry Kissinger winning the praise of Henry Kissinger. I don't want Henry Kissinger's praise at all. We're gonna take a break.
Mariana, we continue with the debate now. Senator Sanders, you call your opponent Hillary Clinton an establishment politician. You yourself are a career politician. Why should voters prefer a career politician over an establishment politician?
Well, you got to look at what the career is about. And this is a career that has stood up to every special interest in this country. I don't take money from Wall Street. I demand that we break up the large financial institutions. I don't take money from the pharmaceutical industry because I believe they are ripping off the American people and charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. I don't take money from the fossil fuel industry because they are destroying the terrible climate change that we are seeing. So I think it is true that I have served in Congress for many years. But if you check my record, it is a record of strength for the environment, for workers, for seniors. Unlike the Secretary, I believe we should expand Social Security benefits. It is a record of achievement for veterans, working with Republicans, helping to craft the most significant veterans health care bill passed in many decades. So I think the point is, look at the record, and it's a record that I am proud of. Now, this has been a wonderful debate, but time being limited, some of the most important issues facing our country have not been asked. And that is it acceptable that in America, the top 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%? Is it acceptable that while the average American works longer hours for low wages, 58% of all new income is going to the top 1%? Is it acceptable that Wall Street and billionaires are spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to buy elections? Is that democracy, or is that oligarchy? Which is why I believe we've got to overturn Citizens United and move to public funding of elections. Is it right that in the greatest, wealthiest country in the history of the world, so many of our young people can't even afford to go to college or leave school deeply in debt? In the wealthiest country in the history of the world, if we stand up, fight back, we can do a lot better. That's why I'm running for president.
For being here, for joining us tonight. And of course, we want to thank also the wonderful crowd that was here today. Our audience has been wonderful. And thank you.